We are live once again today. That's always fun that we get to have multiple little sessions here. While the match itself hasn't quite started, here we go. We've got our second player coming in. We've got Cajun today up against Dr. Batman. Dr. Batman is on a Temur Hideout deck, so we'll be able to show you that momentarily, while Cajun is piloting MonoR Big Red. So these are both fantastic decks. Dr. Batman here winning the initiative role. And here we go, opening hands. So let's get a quick look here at our first player here, Dr. Batman. We've got Ominous Discovery, a fantastic draw spell. Pristine Dominion, our tri-lands here in the format. Valerie, one of the strongest red planeswalkers that we have here, but we're throwing that hand back to try and get a little more here. So let's go up and look at Cajun, what we have so far. Cajun's keeping this hand. We've got some lovely Full Art Mountains. Lieutenant Daisy Saxon here. Wonderful early beater that can grow pretty big and then can throw all of that right back at the opponent's face. We have 2 Scorch. Sorcery Speed Lightning Bolt is one of the mainstays here in our format. Cinderhoof Minotaur, fantastic red burner. Really pitches in a lot of damage over time. And finally, the Kingpin Emissary of Antiquity, a phenomenal low-cost dragon that nevertheless gives you a lot of fuel if it manages to connect. So, Batman keeping this hand of 6. We have a lot of lands here in this format. We have thrown one of them back. So we are keeping an Ominous Discovery. We are keeping a Valerie. And both players seem ready to go. Batman's going to play out a Wayfarer's Shrine. One of the many, many alternate art Wayfarer's Shrines that we have in the format, courtesy of From the Vault Wayfarer's Shrine. Cajun following that up with a turn 1 Lieutenant Daisy Saxon. Really the kind of card that you want to have coming out very early. Drew an Exhilarating Prescience, fantastic card. We really weren't on this card until a few months ago. So it's been a lovely discovery for these red burn decks that simply get to start drawing phenomenal amounts of fuel once their hand has been all but played out. Back on Dr. Batman's side, we've got a second Valerie being drawn here. We're going to play the Ominous Discovery, I would assume, getting ourselves a few more cards here in the hand with a chance to re-trigger later on when a creature dies that Dr. Batman controls dies, thanks to the rerun ability. We've made some slight changes since our last league stream. We've made sure that our little card viewer here is just a little bit bigger. We're also definitely going to try and quickly mouse over the stack so that we can catch cards as they are played. While we wait for this Ominous Discovery to resolve, here it is. We pulled a Mystery of the Crashed Craft, a very unique card that was from a set called Cryptids of Belanon, which did not make it into the format itself, but was brought in with the New Horizons mini set that came out about, I'd say, 2 years ago now. Time flies, so it could be a little less, could be a little more. Cinderhoof Minotaur being brought out here. Lieutenant Daisy Saxon growing by 1, swinging in for 2 damage here. We can take a quick peek here in the graveyard. Dr. Batman threw away a Bokjoy and Malong and a Monkey Shines in favor of keeping Mystery of the Crashed Craft. So going back to these, mysteries are really fantastic. They have an enter the battlefield effect, and once you've decoded both little criterias here, you get to get the backside of it, which in this case would be Epsilon Crash Captain, which is a funky little alien creature that functions a little bit like a young Pyro, and then you can sacrifice them to copy spells. So 3 mana, we have Valerie coming out. Using the +1, adding a red, lets us bring out Mystery of the Crash Craft right away. Being at 4 loyalty and having a blocker up means that There's a good chance that we can protect Valerie till later on in the turn and maybe get something back with her thanks to her -2, allowing you to recover some instants and sorceries. Over on Cajun's side, we're playing out our third mountain. Quite a few options here. Scorches in hand, an early prescience, or even just running out the Emissary of Antiquity to start chipping in for really big chunks of damage. Emissary would definitely guarantee that you could pop the Valerie, however, it would only trigger its secondary effect if you were to hit the player in the face. So we're seeing the Emissary come down here. It's going to trigger Lieutenant Daisy Saxon. Cajun's going to take 1 damage from their own Cinderhoof Minotaur. Going to swing in for the red. We'll see if anything is being redirected. Yeah. Red Alien is going to... That's interesting. Block the creature with Trample. Alright, so that would be 3 to the face, and then 3 points of damage on Valerie. Putting Valerie down to 1, I believe, which would mean Valerie would not be able to apply its -2. So let's see if everything... Oh, yeah. Hold up. Yeah, okay. So that's what I thought. I don't think Dr. Batman had noticed that the Cinderhoof Minotaur had Trample. There we go. Yeah, so that would be 1 more little point of damage. How? Oh, I see what happened. We have 2 counters on Lieutenant Daisy Saxon, and let's see if we can ask the players to do that. Can you update Saxon's... There we go. I would also have been confused because I tend to read the numbers rather than the counters, but the counters were on the creature, so that's why we had 3 and 1. That's even better, obviously, for Cajun, because getting Valerie off the board is important. Dr. Batman getting a chance to cast Ominous Discovery here at Cajun's... well, technically we shouldn't be at the end step. Ominous Discovery would have triggered when that little goblin kicked the bucket. We drew into a Cosmic Sinkhole. Really good 1-drop counterspell that can be pretty flexible. So you can hit spells for 1, for 3, or for 5, depending on the colors that you spend. But of course, because of the XX, you can't hit 2s and 4s. We have Unrivaled Fireweaver here in the hand. Very powerful card. Again, a very polarizing one. The minimum deck size having just 20 more cards definitely isn't a huge drawback we've been finding. In fact, if you notice, both decks are running quite a few more cards, which should mean both of them are on Fireweaver. It's just such a powerful card, Unrivaled Fireweaver, letting you pull in red instant or sorcery card from outside the game. Letting you kind of build yourself a toolbox. So, Batman checking out their sideboard, thinking, am I playing out this Fireweaver this turn? Is there something in there that can save me? Crack the Magmatic Torrent here. Paying 2 life, getting awfully low. Fetching a Frostfire Geysers, one of our check duels in the format. Alright. Paying 2, we're going to see Fireweaver come out and pick something up out of the sideboard. If I quickly check what we have there, we have a little bit of damage, a Sear Flesh, flames, we got some burn. Yeah, okay. So picking up Shiho's command. I'm assuming, now that we've got the instant and sorcery going, Epsilon has flipped. We are going to kind of cycle around that hand, and I believe we are going to force him to sacrifice a legendary non-land permanent. So that's going to get rid of Daisy Saxon, and Dr. Batman will be able to turn that hand into perhaps something a little more important. Has to discard 2 cards though. So yeah, Island and Cosmic Sinkhole. Drawing into a second island and a prodigious Panya. Panya is a really powerful creature. It has the custom mechanic, a tail, which functions differently than adventures. Tails can be cast once from the battlefield. Most of them, I believe, are sorcery speed. So 1/1 flash flyer that, of course, when you pay 5, you get to take an extra turn. And on that turn, Panya will be absolutely massive. Passing back over here to Cajun, we are likely going to see Prescience. Yep. Taking a damage here from... Oh, hold up. Has to be damage from yeah. Yeah, should be a damage from the Minotaur. Cool. I'm just gonna make sure that players aren't missing out some life here. Of course, as a spectator. Yeah, that was it. As a spectator, I am not gonna call out if things are maze or beneficial triggers, but miss triggers like these, it's important that we call them out. Going to combat, the Unrivaled Fireweaver is going to go in and block the Minotaur. Cajun does have a red floating from that Minotaur attack. Epsilon here, not able to block out the dragon, which means we get a Scorch casting in. So Dr. Batman was just too low life really to do much with the crazy amount of burn that Cajun was packing here. That dragon putting in a lot of work. In the meantime, while they look at the sideboards, we are actually finally able to go check out the sideboard. So, of course, I say that, and then give me a second. We're just going to see if we can change that up here. Interesting. Okay. Apparently, I can't swap it over, which is a bit of an issue because I'm able to look through into their sideboards. Well, okay, sideboarding was over. I can quickly mention that looking at Dr. Batman, we've got a lot of what's in the sideboard can be pulled anyway with Unrivaled Fireweaver. I'm not sure really what was pulled in there. Looking at Cajun's equally is very, very similar sideboard. Maybe a Rattler. Their decks are pretty much functioning as needed right now. If I spot something here, I will be able to know, but nope, both hands currently are just mainboard cards. Cajun has a very similar hand. We've got their Unrivaled Fireweaver with the original art here, as well as Oros, the Red King. Pretty powerful Flame Tongue Kavu that is able to pitch itself to refuel your hand. And then over here on the side, plenty of land. We've already seen Cosmic Sinkhole, we've seen Panya, we've seen Mystery. We haven't seen Nebula of Empty Gold, a phenomenal gold land that lets you pick 2, 3, 4, or even 5 colors. Of course, you'll lose life equal to the number picked, but you'll be able to add mana of any of the chosen colors. So, paying 2 life for Magmatic Torrent for one of our shock fetches, but holding it open up depending on whether or not they're going to need that blue or whether they can go into a red for Mystery. Though, of course, their hand has all the colors that they need. Cajun here drawing a Valerie of their own. Daisy Saxon coming out. We're going to get a basic island, casting out the Cosmic Sinkhole. Basic island is important to ensure that your check duels and your pain duels, essentially, don't cost you a ton of life or enter the battlefield tapped, respectively. Drawing a Wayfarer Shrine. I would assume that we're going to see Frostfire Geysers. I feel like that's... Oh, nope, Shrine. Cool. Same thing-ish. Paying the 1. There it is. I guess we wanted the second basic online for Rampant Summits in the future. We've got red and we've got blue. We're going to play out Mystery of the Crashcraft, and we're holding up blue for a Prodigious Panya. So Mystery is going to make a little 1/1 alien creature token, and once we've cast an instant and a sorcery, we'll be able to flip into Epsilon Crash Captain. Cajun pulling a Ragavan Most Wanted. So as I've mentioned in a previous video, every format needs their monkey. Ours is a little less good than the canon one, and it's still plenty playable. 2/1 that has haste if you control 2 or more pirates, and whenever 1 or more pirates you control deal combat damage, you get a tapped treasure token. Moving to the end step, we've got Prodigious Panya being cast here. Little flash 1/1 that puts in a lot of work. Of course, tails actually being sorceries does mean that they'll function for Mystery of the Crashcraft's decoding. Land-wise, we could see a Geysers or a Rampant Summit. I don't see why we would play out a Nebula of Empty Gold. Of course, Pristine Dominion, if you're not using your lands this turn, better get it to play earlier rather than later. This is a fantastic reprint from Karina, the Karina set, KXP. Lovely, lovely set. Swinging in for 1 with Prodigious Panya. First damage on Cajun. Alright, drawing a mountain, still plenty of gas in the hand. Let's see what gets played out. Alright, so Fireweaver gets played out. You saw it last round. No counterspells coming in here. Handful of land. Cajun's going to look at their sideboard, and we're going to find Metal Munch, which, no surprise, 1 damage will clear off Panya and the little red alien that could. Really putting Dr. Batman on the backseat here. A handful of land is not what you want at this stage of the game. Chipping in for 2 also means that we're going to get a tap treasure token for free off of the Ragavan. You don't need other pirates to make that card work. It works just as well by itself. Alright, passing up to Dr. Batman, we're going to draw a card. Hopefully we're not seeing another land. It is a Scorch. Lovely new art in Secret Lair 100 that just released this month. Playing out the Frostfire Geysers. We're not out of it. The Scorch can definitely take care of one of these 2 creatures. Ragavan is the correct choice here, of course. It's the one that's most likely to spiral out of control. Sorcery being marked here on Mystery of the Crashcraft. We just need an instant for Epsilon to reappear. So passing the turn back to Cajun, we're going to see a 4th Mountain, and then either a Valerie. I'm going to move over here to see what we've got in the sideboard. Metal Munch being able to be brought back. Drawing a 2nd copy of Oros the Red King. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, a Valerie sequence into something else rather than just Oros straight up, given the fact that our devotion isn't crazy high, but we do have, 5 mana to play with, so there's quite a lot that we can do. Alright, so Valerie coming in. Don't think we're at the point where we're going to be using the -2. Most likely we're just going to be using a +1 to keep the toughness, the loyalty up. And of course, whenever you cast spells that target, Valerie gets an additional loyalty, and you get a lovely little soldier token. So we go +1. Maybe see the Scorch pointing face. Yeah, there we go. Scorch is going on. On top of that, the spell can't be countered, which sounds perhaps a little situational, but definitely puts in a lot of work. Valerie going up to 5. We get our soldier, and we're likely going to move to combat and see a swing with Fireweaver here. Chipping in for 2, putting Batman down to 10. We're really in top deck mode here for Dr. Batman. No, well, last request is the kind of card that's not bad to see when you're running on empty. Lets you exile the top 7, and for each card type, getting to pick up one of those cards. Phenomenal new art from Animus Vox in the bonus sheet there. No counter spells from Cajun, being a mono red card, so here we go. Exiling Timber Range, Wayfarer's Shrine, Bogjue, Island, Mystery, Solar Flare, and Spell Pierce. So I believe that's we have 2 instants, an enchantment, we have lands and a planeswalker, so plenty of choices of lands. We've got the Walker, we've got the enchantment, and then it's going to be the choice between Solar Flare and Spell Pierce. Considering the fact that we've only got a mountain up, it's not going to be the Spell Pierce, I would assume. I think we're past the point where countering a non-creature spell is what we're looking for. I think the Solar Flare with our very own little Lightning Helix that could, being red-green, is most likely going to be a lot more important to pick up here. And we picked up the Wayfarer's Shrine over the basic island. Interesting. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I would have picked up the basic island, but I guess if you really want great flexibility on all that you have going on here, it's important. So with the red, we're playing out the second Mystery of the Crash Craft. Gonna get another little 1/1 red alien. And that can also flip up. Of course, you can't double up on Epsilon, being a legendary creature, but still providing plenty of value. All right, drew into a Lieutenant Daisy Saxon. Now we're starting to have a little bit of red on the field. 1, 2, 3 would be 4 with Oros. That would be 4. 4 damage to the face is nothing to scoff at, especially considering the fact that we could immediately follow it up with another 4 damage to the face on the next turn. Given the fact that Daisy Saxon only costs 1, wouldn't be surprised if we saw either Daisy Saxon into an Oros to get that 5th point of red devotion, or we could also see an Oros and then keeping mana up to refuel 3, though I think the fact that we have the treasure means we'll likely see Daisy Saxon into an Oros. I don't know. We'll see. In the meantime, let's take a little look at Bogjue and Malong. Quite a big suite here on this Planeswalker. It's a 3 mana for 3 loyalty. You may activate an additional loyalty ability of Bogjue and Malong during your turn if you've cast 2 or more spells. +1 being Scry 2, -2 being Impulse, the top 2 cards of your library. You get to play one of them, and when you do, the other one goes to your hand. And finally, the big -6. Whenever you cast a spell this turn, you copy it. Choose new targets for the copy. Usually you're in it for the +1 and the -2. Cajun's still thinking a little bit about what they want to spend their turn on. I'm going to move over the graveyard because Valerie could always bring back Scorch or Metal Munch. Scorch would let you definitely put your opponent down to quite a bit of life here, though Cajun, of course, knows that Metal Munch could clear out the 1/1. All right. So we went for the 1/1 rather than the 3. This is definitely going to let the Fireweaver, the Soldier, run through. That one will not be able to attack this turn. So let's just clear that out here. Something to look forward to is there's a chance that Valerie gets a slight change in the future. Something we've noticed is that when you cast those instants and sorceries, they go back to the graveyard, which could be a problem balance-wise. Something definitely that we're looking at. Might not be anytime soon, but in the meantime, keep using that -2 and you can keep bringing back the same spell again and again. Swinging in for 3. And yeah, should be 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Yeah, Val is 1 red red. It used to be, I believe, 2 red. I could be wrong, but all And then Dr. Batman is pretty low on life here. Solar Flare can bring you up by 3 points, and could definitely put Oros, the Red King, off the field there. The fact that Valerie's -2 then refunds itself by +1 whenever you cast a spell that targets is very, very good. It's just such a long shot here. Solar Flare as an instant could definitely turn Mystery of the Crashcraft up. You would get back a 2/2, but being at 2 life is definitely a problem here. So, not surprising if we see Solar Flare coming off to take out Oros the Red King. 3 life puts you back at 5. Epsilon flips up to its 2/2 side. And if we're casting any other instants or sorceries this turn, Epsilon will create a 1/1, which again gives you the blockers that you need for what Cajun has on board at the moment. Of course, Dr. Batman does not know that we have another Oros the Red King in the hand, and again with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a minus from Valerie, we pretty much have close to lethal here. Shrine coming down, tapping, going to play out Ominous Discovery. That's our sorcery. We're going to trigger the red alien here from Epsilon Crash Captain, and then the other Mystery of the Crashcraft is going to remove itself. Yeah, flipping into Legend Rule. So we're going to look at the top 3 cards, try and maybe find, I'm assuming, a little bit of an answer here. Picked up a Void Flare. Very nice burn spell, deals 2 damage as a shock, or it turns into a lightning bolt if you control 4 or more differently named lands. Ominous Discovery, of course, can be cast from exile with the rerun. Void Flare being an instant means we don't have to fire it off right now, but sometimes, you know, it's better to play what you got. 3 damage, you're going to take out the Unrivaled Fireweaver, put another red 1/1 alien on the field. And we are mostly out of fuel here. Of course, if Ominous Discovery triggers during the opponent's turn and you pull out a counterspell, you can always crack Wayfarer's Shrine or a burn spell to try and find it. So Valerie still being on the field still means that we have 2 pips of Devotion. We could have a 3rd with Lieutenant Daisy Saxon, and then a 4th with Oros the Red King. Though I think the correct play here would just be Oros the Red King. You would -2 Valerie, getting back one of your burn spells, and that would be lethal to the face. Cajun, of course, doesn't know if the opponent's holding up counterspell here, though even a Cosmic Sinkhole wouldn't be enough if you're keeping that 1 mana open here. So now I'm not the oh, okay, here we go. So yeah, Oros coming out. I assume there he is. Dr. Batman giving it a yep. We're gonna go, I assume, 3 damage to the face. And then I believe the Valerie -2 is going to attempt to go for lethal here. If Cajun's tracking, Cajun could figure out that what's left in the hand is a Bokshui. I don't believe would know what the Nebula of Empty Gold is, but has it in the bag. 2-0's the match, so which is the last match for round 2. We'll be moving on to round 3 of Grand Prix Warsaw here at MSEM in October. Yeah, rip Sinkhole. I'm assuming Cajun was playing around that there. Dr. Batman didn't have it, unfortunately. So not going to combat and getting them the chance to flip up their little discovery there. Glad we could get the match in before deadline. So wishing both of these players well on the rest of the GP. Cajun definitely going up to round 3. Dr. Batman might stay in it. Gonna give them a big thank you, GG's. And with that, we will hopefully see each other in a following match. So thanks for tuning in. This was a Grand Prix match over a league match. If you like the content, be sure to let me know. And hopefully we see each other soon. So take care. Have a great one.